So we are back with another gameplay breakdown for the finals, boys and girls. If you haven't watched the first episode, be sure to go and check that out. That was my good friend Vic, who's actually funnily enough editing this video. Shout out my boy Vic. That was his gameplay last week. This week we are watching my good friend Mark, who is the other editor on the channel. And then next week I'll be doing my own gameplay. After that, it will all be gameplay from you guys. There'll be times I might do my own as well. So if you want to submit your own gameplay to be broken down, be sure to check the top link in the description. There is a Google form there, very easy to fill out. It should only take a few minutes and you guys can submit your own gameplay. But like I said, today we are watching my good friend Mark. So without wasting any time, let's jump right in. He was playing as the light class in this game. If we take a look down here at Mark's loadout, that is the worst circle you'll ever see. Very unique loadout he's got. He's got 3 grenade types here. The regular frag, the gas, and the 2 goo grenades. It's going to be an interesting gameplay because I don't generally see many people using that. Initially here, straight away, great use of the environment. You can see he's using the explosive barrel to blow that up initially, then the gas barrel. And then very good shots to get a quick kill there. He's kind of navigated that section very well in the fact that he took a bit of time to, I guess if we go back, I'll show you what I mean. He's taken the time here to make sure that it's safe to enter first. So you can see he throws that gas down there. You can see the objective down there and he's kind of double checking it's safe to go in there first. Now, I think here he actually just fell. I don't think he actually meant to do that. Gets into a bit of trouble, but he does the right thing. He gets away, which is what you need to do is the light class. Now this here, the equipment wheel, I believe it is called. I would recommend not only to Mark, but any of you guys who have that setting still, go and check out my settings guide. It was, I think, the first finals video I did on the channel once the game was live. That will explain why you should change this setting, and I will bring it up a few times throughout this video because I've already taken notes on the gameplay and stuff, and it comes up a few times. So I'll just note that now. It's not that it's bad, it's just a bit slower is how I would describe it. So that's the first thing to take note of, is just changing that setting, which, like I said, I forget the actual name of the setting, so I'll refer you guys to the other video. But it is essentially, if you just go, it's one of the first settings, I believe, and you just change it from equipment wheel to any of the other 2, whichever suits you best. Again here, Mark is getting out of the situation, which as the light class, that's what you want to be doing. You don't really want to be going head to head against, that was, I believe, a medium, but there was a heavy earlier too. It's just not worth it as the light class. And then Mark actually comes back to where he was initially. And again, taking a really good scope of the situation. He's not just jumping in the hole. That's something that I often would do, is just try and get kills. I guess early on it doesn't matter as much, but very good play there from Mark to just kind of get a gauge of what's going on down there without trying to rush in and just essentially die. Now, he runs into a little bit of trouble here, and it is just bad timing. You can see here that this guy is about to res his teammate, but if we go back, he was shooting as Mark jumped off. So it actually wasn't a bad play here for Mark to jump down. If he thought this was going to be a third party, that would have been a good play. Unfortunately, the guy rezzed, so now it's a 2v1, and he's obviously in a bit of a pickle. He ends up dying here. That's kind of just bad luck. I don't think there's anything necessarily that he could have done better there. Now, you would say keep the high ground if you can, but it's one of those situations where it seemed like it was the right play until you get down there and the guy's just res. So it's kind of just bad timing. If we fast forward, you can see there's a few enemies over there that have planted it. Mark throws, or was that a gas in there, which is actually very good placement. They had just planted it, so as you can see, he's getting no ticks, and they've obviously just cleared the area. But it's also good to just have some point presence. Now that right there was the prime example of using your evasive dash. I personally prefer the cloak as the light class, but Mark is running the dash, which is also very good. And you can see that he kind of got stuck in the corner there. It could have ended in a death, but he actually just dashed the hell out of there. So this heavy, I don't know if he sees him. It's kind of hard to tell just because of how quick this is. In this situation, I would probably just let the heavy go up there and you just head off to the side there. As a light class anyway, if you're a heavy, take the gunfight. But I personally think as a light class, it's always best to try and essentially, you just don't want people to know where you are. That's almost your whole play style, is just avoiding head-to-head combat, because if that guy then saw Mark and goes, all right, I'm going to just chase him, then all of a sudden you are getting chased by a heavy. So in that situation, I would recommend just kind of heading off to the side, and you know where he is, he doesn't know where you are, you're in the advantage in that situation. Good shots here from Mark. He just kind of turns on this kid. Had no right to really win that, to be honest. The guy had shots on him, and he was a medium. Now this section is a really good approach of this. If we actually go back to how long that takes, on my timer, this says 4 minutes 24, and then by the time he's actually engaging, that is nearly 15 seconds. It's a nice slow approach to the objective. I see a lot of people just sprinting in there, and a lot of people in this situation, for example, might just straight up run and try and get to the objective, which if you've got more information and you know that there's no one near that, then that can work, obviously. And maybe if you're a heavy or a medium, or if you're all running in there with your team, that can work. But instead of doing that, Mark has actually made the play to sort of sneak around the side here, which, as you can see, he kind of gets the sneak on this enemy here and gets a lot of good shots on him. I believe they eventually get the kill on this guy. And if he had have gone the other way that I said, sort of like beelining it straight to the objective, that guy would have actually been behind them. I'm not sure what the other teammate is doing. He's kind of off on his own. Very good heals here, though, from his teammate, which essentially keeps Mark alive. And something worth noting here is how sporadic Mark's aim is. Yeah, you can see when he slows down, if we go back to that, as we all do, I'm the worst at this. I just start shooting at things. Like I just freak out sometimes. As you can see, Mark's just kind of, he knows he's low health. He's just trying to get the kill. And then you can see that he slows down and he goes, you know what, I just need to hit like one shot, and he does it. So prime example there of sometimes you do just need to slow down. Now, if we look here, there is one teammate dead and the other teammate dead. The shit thing is, pink team, they're about to cap. So it's kind of a shitty situation here that he just has to go in, and it's a suicide mission. You're never going to win that, but he has to. It's maybe different in a tournament. Keep in mind, this is obviously not a tournament. In a tournament, if it's later in the game or something and you need to stay alive, then it's different. But for the first objective and in a non-tournament, in my opinion, this is worth the play, even though I know that sounds dumb, because when he goes in there, this is obviously not a good play, right? He just runs in and dies. It's very easy to say in hindsight that that is bad decision making, when for all we know from this angle just here, how do we know there's enemies in there? Now, to be fair, his teammate has pinged an enemy, but we don't know the situation. So that room could be empty and Mark could have just run in there and stolen it. I personally think that was the right play. You've got to go and check it out. If they get a team wipe, it doesn't matter. They're not playing in tournament, and he had no time. It's not like he could have waited for his teammates to revive and then push in. So I just think, weirdly enough, that was actually the right play, even though it was just always going to end in a death. Sometimes that just has to happen, I think. Now, if we get to the next objective, kind of what I was touching on earlier about the heavy, where I said to leave the heavy alone and just not, reveal yourself. Mark has actually done that here perfectly. You can see there's two enemies that he could have very easily just seen an enemy and shot them. Like, that is the natural instinct, to just see a bad person and shoot them. But he's actually played this really smart. He's kind of just stealthily walking up to them, and he gets some good shots off on that guy. Now, this is a prime example again of that equipment wheel. If we slowly scroll, this is about where he wants to throw the grenade, but he has to get behind cover, and then he has to pull the grenade out and then throw it. If you have that other setting that I was talking about earlier, this is a lot slower, or a lot faster, I should say. Almost instant from when you can just decide that you want to throw a grenade till the time you can throw it is just a lot quicker. So as you can see, he's got to pull it out and then throw it. It's not that much faster. He's actually done it pretty quick there, but it's just a prime example. You can get frazzled and pull out the wrong grenade or whatever. It's just definitely worth changing that setting. Now, here, there's not too much. The dude has a mean heady behind that bar. There's not really too much that he can do there. In hindsight, what I would probably say, the dude was over here who kills him, right? And then the other enemy is behind the bar. What I would probably do is maybe push this guy and actually get over the bar. As you can see, if I just get rid of that, he sort of pushes up to him. I don't know if this guy's reloading. He doesn't really do much. He's just kind of watching Mark. He could have been low health. In fact, we do see earlier that he was low health. I would probably just push the guy. Mark has got a pretty much fully loaded gun, I would just almost jump over that bar. And then, as you can see, he dies from this direction, but that bar would have been cover from that enemy who shot him. So it's kind of a hindsight is 2020 thing where I would have done what Mark just did as well. But in that situation, it might be worth just full sending on that enemy and actually getting the bar as a cover. Kind of a hard one to judge because I think I would have done the same thing, but it's something that I just noticed. So we get back to, it's the same objective. Actually, no one has grabbed it yet. Some good shots there from Mark and his teammate, getting an assist and a kill. This I thought was really smart from Mark. He's actually using the as we call them in Australia, the pokey machines. I know they're called the slot machines in America or something. I don't actually know, but they're just called the pokies in Australia. He's using them as cover, but he quickly jumps up. As you can see, he gets the information that there is an enemy right here. Now, most people would probably just have run straight to this section and then they'd be in this big open area. And yeah, you're going to get the same information here, but you're also way out in the open. So you're probably going to die depending on how many enemies are there or whatever. Even if you get the kill, it can be very risky. And so I thought that was really smart by Mark to kind of get behind cover after he gets that kill. And as you can see, he just pops up very briefly, gets some information, and then he's instantly back behind cover. Even if the dude knew he was there, there's no chance he's getting shot at or anything like that. So that is something really useful. Obviously, this is just one example, but you can do that anywhere. Getting to a safe spot where you know you can just get a quick glance at the enemy, it can still be really worth it to just get that information and then you know what to do. And then, yeah, as you can see, his teammate goes down, kind of rough. He nearly wins this gunfight, and I think he potentially would have, but he got third party. Now, fast forward again to when the teams respawned. The team finally grabbed the freaking objective. This has been going for a good couple of minutes and no one grabbed it, so obviously a bit of chaos. Have finally planted it, and it is now the purple team, so it's not the end of the world if they get this. Mark and his team just need to make sure that the pink team doesn't get it. That's their only objective here. If they can get it, that's obviously the best, but don't sacrifice yourself in that situation to make sure that you can try and get it when in reality you just need to make sure pink doesn't get it. Now that spot right there, what I'll say, probably a good example of maybe using hipfire. At that close range, you can see that the slightest twitch in the stick goes from that side of him all the way to the other side of him. It's probably better to just hip fire in this situation. He gets the kill, so it doesn't matter, but it's something I noticed. Good gas there from Mark. Good shots too. He's unlucky. I don't think he gets the kill. Now, he threw down a gas there, but then also threw down fire to take control of the area because the gas is now gone. Very, very smart play from Mark. I know playing with Mark, he does that quite a bit. Now that part right there, what I'll say, and again, hindsight is 2020. This is all the type of stuff where in the heat of the moment, it's so impossible to know what to do. In this situation, you can see that he starts getting shot at from his right. And as you can see, his teammates are over to his left, right? So what I would do, you can see he's getting shot at and then he actually dashes towards the enemies. The other thing, again, hindsight makes this easy, but I think it was actually just the turret shooting at him and then it dies. So he probably could have stayed here and stolen, but again, I would have done the same thing. You're getting shot at and you just think, nah, fuck that, I'm going to jump off. But instead of dashing towards the enemies, I would probably dash back over to your left. If we look, his teammates are just, they're not that far away. So dashing in that direction. Now, to be fair, there is a big hole in the floor, but he's got two dashes available. You can dash sort of upwards and I guess jump over that gap. So yeah, that's the only difference I would make here, that as you can see, he dashes to his right and ends up pretty much in the shit, as we say. And then he dies anyway. He does eventually try to go back. So he had the right idea by the end, but it was just a little bit too late, unfortunately. And then by the time they actually get back to the objective, it's too late, unfortunately. So kind of just a tough situation, but again, purple got it. So it's not the end of the world. You obviously want to get every objective if you can get it. That goes without saying that you want to get every objective, but it's better to make sure that purple gets it than to allow pink and the game's over. Now they push over to the objective and he actually gets stunned here in a second, and he does a really good job of not getting like frazzled by the stun. A lot of people, myself included, when I get stunned, I just kind of shit myself. A lot of people won't fire back at their enemies and they'll just not know what's going on. But as you could see there, he actually survived the stun. He plays that pretty well, I feel, that whole little section there. I thought this was a medium when he came up. So I was just about to say it's probably not the right play, but I think this is a light by the looks of it. And I don't know what the dude's... Yeah, it is a light because he's dashing around. I don't know if the dude's still reloading or what the hell he decides to run away. So nice play there from Mark. Pink has now planted the next objective, so they have to stop and they have to get both of the next ones. That's the only shit thing with what I was just talking about. You can only let the other team get it once, essentially, and then you have to get 2 in a row. Bit of a rough throw there from Mark in that it should have gone through that grenade, I feel, and same with this barrel. That should fit through, but it just doesn't. A lot of the time that happens in this game, unfortunately. You can see Mark's just trying to navigate the area. The one thing I'll say about this right here is when he sees that enemy, I would just straight up, like the first time, you can see he kind of peeks him. You know your teammate's there, right? I would see that guy and kind of go, oh shit. I would then dip back down this direction. But then once I'm safe, I'm going to probably hold the angle and just like watch this corner to make sure that this guy doesn't push. Once the guy doesn't push, I would just run back up the stairs, grab that, and then head off. This dude's watching his own objective. He's not going to... I just don't think that guy would ditch in that situation. So that's the only thing I would say there, is that you could probably get away with stealing the idol and just running off. Because as you could see, the guy actually did run away. The guy respawned anyway, so it's not the biggest deal. That's more like a tournament situation where you need to revive your teammate. Doesn't really matter in this. Some very good shots there from Mark, and then he tries to go back through the little hole that he originally came through. Once again, very good use. Like, Mark is very good at countering the different elements, so he always does that when we play together. If there's gas, he just throws a pyro on it straight away. Very smart, and he sort of has to go here again, and unfortunately he dies. It's another one of those situations you sort of have to. If you look at the timer, it's pretty rough. I think his teammates were pushing up the stairs potentially. Okay, one's actually died and the other one, so maybe not as good as I thought of a play from the team, but Mark sort of has to do something there. They do res, so yeah, it's just a rough situation. It's kind of the, I guess, proof of the fact that you should play with teammates when you can, as in like friends, people that you can get on the mic with and communicate, because his teammates all have no idea what they're each doing. Is probably the reason that they lose in the end, that they just weren't communicating, which is obviously very hard to do when you're playing solo. But overall, not a bad game from Mark by any means. The other team seemed pretty solid as well. So there was a lot of good stuff to take from that, I think, from Mark, and hopefully that helps you guys out with little bits of information on what can be done better, as well as the stuff that Mark does really well. Like I mentioned earlier, the slow approaches to some of the objectives and stuff. He doesn't just, as a light, a lot of people just rush in and they think they're playing COD, and you can't really do that in this game. I feel like Mark did that really well, of just pretty much navigating the situation first, figuring out what's going on, and then approaching it. It's just unfortunate that his teammates weren't on the same page, which isn't their fault either. It's just playing solo in a team game. Obviously that's not always going to go the right way, but overall, pretty decent game from Mark there. If you guys have any tips of your own, be sure to leave them down below as well. Be sure to go and check out Vic's video from last week as well, and then like I said, next week I will actually be doing my own gameplay, and then after that all of you guys can submit all of your gameplay to be broken down, and the submissions are open, like I said, so be sure to submit your own gameplay. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you all out there in the arena.